Hi and welcome back to another video of JPlay. I am Marcus and today should be a rather short one as I'm just unboxing the latest expansion for Dune Imperium Immortality. I brought the base game and the Rise of X, right? First expansion to Gamelight last Thursday. Everyone again still loved it. I played the base game now really quite a few times. The first expansion not so much. I played this game on my channel, the solo mode, I don't know, relatively shortly after the base game has been released. I haven't played the solo mode since then, so now with a second expansion it might be time to have another look at it. Yes, of course I will also include the first expansion stuff, but I'm really curious what they did to Dune Imperium. Basically I think it's my second favorite, let's call it, deck building kind of game after Legendary, which by far is my most favorite deck building kind of, let's call it, mechanic in that genre. But this one here, where they're really, I don't know, it was a very clever way how they mixed together pretty much, let's call it, a worker placement to the deck building aspect, and also the deck building aspects to a lot of other different aspects within the game. Yes, I know they have done something very similar to Clank before, but yeah, Dune is definitely my go-to IP. I think shortly after maybe Battlestar Galactica and a little bit of Star Wars, but yeah, this has a different history now. Let's not talk about Star Wars in this video. But yeah, today let's have a quick look inside the box here. Maybe let's have a quick read. Why not? Let's simply do that. So yeah, we have, oh, that's a very small little booklet here. Let's have a quick read about the Tleilaxu, even though I'm relatively certain I'm butchering the pronunciation here. The Tleilaxu, or the Tleilaxu, are a more powerful fringe society in the Imperium, specializing in genetic engineering. House leaders must carefully consider the cost of dealing with them, both financial and ethical. Tleilaxu replacement organs are widely used throughout the Imperium, but the genetic grafting programs and hybrid creations are looked upon with suspicion. And wasn't it Duncan, Idaho or so that they kept bringing back or so? I don't know. Human life cultivated in the mysterious axolotl tanks is the most controversial of it all. At the time of Duke Leto Atreides, face dancers were closely held Tleilaxu secret, used as spies and assassins. Scholars were new versions of people grafted from dead flesh. While lacking the memories of their former selves, they did provide some comfort to the grieving through a twisted form of immortality. But so yeah, now that we know a little bit more about that Tleilaxu, and basically an engineering kind of race, which I think brings on, maybe let's have a quick look at the game components here, just to have a quick look. Of course, again, I will do a full unboxing. We have a new board that will come with the game. We will also have another overlay, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos. I'm not a huge fan of modular game design when it comes down to expansions. Luckily, the expansions here are not so much modular. In theory, you're mixing them in or you don't. Yes, some of the cards from the first expansion, from the Rise of X, you can in fact put into the game without really ever considering extra very special rules for the Rise of X itself, for the overlay board, for example, for those dreadnoughts. But typically, yeah, it's an all or nothing kind of. This is something that they already did well here, but I'm also not a huge fan of overlays. I really hope, yes, of course, take my money, that they will come up with a board which will then have this an upgraded board, or maybe it's a neoprene mat, maybe there's already something out, I don't know, where all of these additional overlays already factored in. Basically the same thing as they did for Firefly, where I do own the smaller neoprene mat. There is really a huge one and there is the normal one, but this at least includes all the extension boards, which really looks very nice. It works very well. The mat lays very flat on the table, very nicely done. So I really hope that they are considering something here for Dune Imperium as well. Yeah, again, new over. We have more Imperium cards, obviously. We have a very special Tleilaxu card deck. We have a reserve card, which is something I believe is which you put to the cards that you can always buy, as far as I know. And of course, we have some more Intrigue cards, but yes, we also introduce 4 more House Hagal cards. I'm relatively certain they have also updated the app accordingly. I I believe I did see a relatively recent update, but haven't really checked because, as you know me, when I'm playing board games, I really try to stay away from digital components like a tablet or a mobile phone, other than maybe games where you simply can't. Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, for example, or when you play Lord's Journeys in Middle Earth, for example. There, I'm okay with it because they drive the story and help you in some things. Here, I think I would still stick to the cards rather than the app. Again, I will not have a very close look inside the rules here. I have checked it out from what they do idea-wise, but I think the idea for today is simply to have a look at the core components. So apparently, or obviously, this is the Tleilaxu board where you can, I believe, put markers in and then you can progress along these lines. And in some cases, you really have to make a decision on where you branch. So for example, you don't see a connection from this space down to this space here. These are basically, let's call it, I think, a new currency in the game. And this is, I think, down here tells you need to have this level of genetic engineering capabilities in order to unlock this, so which is a very powerful one. So maybe let's do have a quick look at the rules. So this ability, once unlocked, allows you, every time you are purchasing a card, basically during your reveal turn, you will put it on top of your deck. There is basically a technology from the Rise of X expansion which allows you the same, but once this is gone, it's gone. This is technology with basically everyone can leverage, so I think this is definitely a good thing. But okay, then let's keep going. Yeah, we have some more markers. I think these are mainly for this piece here, and this is also for this. I think this is somewhat of a, I don't know, influence kind of track where you can also progress. I think you can get a victory point here and another victory point here. And this is really what I do enjoy. It gives you another path to victory. So it's not necessary that you have to win all the conflicts. So my last session, last Thursday, was very, very close, and I believe I only won one combat, and I think I was second, and I only lost it because I think I wasn't able, what was it? It was some very, very minor thing which basically cost me one victory point. I think I needed one more influence in one of the factions or so in order to get an extra point or so, but yeah, I missed it. So this is something they're now introducing, another way on getting extra victory points, which is great. I believe you do advance on the Tleilaxu track by using this symbol here. So whenever you see this little scarab, you are moving basically one step to the right. This one here, I believe, allows you to increase your research accordingly. So obviously there are more ways to do that. Through cards, for example, maybe even through the overlay. Can't quite remember right now, but I think that's basically it in respect to this board here. So maybe let's have a look at these cards here. So I think I will unpack these now pretty much off camera. So here you go. Okay, it's an English edition. What do you think about this? These are obviously the additional House Gal cards, so basically where they are sending their forces to, which is, I really do like that they are maintaining their solo mode so, I don't know, tenaciously almost, that they're really bringing in new cards directly with the expansion. There's no waiting time for you to keep on playing the solo when you are introducing expansions. Really nicely done. Now, this is the card that is always staying out. Again, there are these Tleilaxu cards, and I think these are, let's see, these are those exactly, that's showing this icon here. And as I mentioned, this is a new form of currency in the game. How is it called? Is it research? I think it's being mentioned in the rules. I mean, obviously, the way how this works is, it's a specimen. It's a specimen. The way how this works is you can move your troops to the specimen. So this is going to these tanks here, axolotl tanks, so how they are referred to, similar to the House of X, Rise of X expansion, where you can send your troops to basically to this technology X board, where they give you discounts. It's very similar here, but of course, if you're sending them somewhere else, they are no longer available for you for combat. But again, as this is now a new way on getting victory points, maybe combat isn't your thing. And I really do like that. I cannot stress this enough that they are simulating different I don't know, motivations for each of those players, for each of those characters, for each of those factions here, or for the families to gain victory points. So if you're not the fighter, you can do that completely differently. So I think I really do like that. And this up here is basically the cost. When you want to acquire this card, you have to spend specimens, or basically troops from this board here, and yeah, one for one basically you can then acquire these cards. I believe there are always 2 of those phase up, and this card is again also always available, which allows you to do something. Though for 3 you can get 2 troops or 1 step on the Tleilaxu track here. Terrible word to pronounce for me. But yeah, you have definitely some variety here. On the other side, there are simple Imperium cards, so you are not really shuffling them into the normal Imperium row. But once you acquire them, you put them into your deck like normal. So maybe let's also have a quick look at those new, what are those called? I keep forgetting. Plot cards. Intrigue cards, of course. So let me quickly do that. This shouldn't take too long. So again, it's the English version. Hooray! These are Intrigue cards. Here it's written. So we have another breakthrough, which basically gives you 1 step on the technology track here. More combat cards. I do like that they're bringing in more victory point cards, so end of game scoring cards. Wow, 4 more. Well, that's really huge. But again, you need this in order to provide more ways to victory. What do we have here? We can retreat up to your troops. Then we can gain some money for that, or we can hold on to that. If we have 10 money or more, we would gain a victory point at the end of the game. Again, these are really these surprises where everyone thinks, hey, I have one, I have one. In the base game, I think there are only 3 cards or so these bluish cards. So it's relatively predictable if someone is going for a certain victory or not. With the Rise of X expansion, I think there were at least 2 or 3 more that have been introduced, and now adding even 4 more. I think this is now really, let's call it a critical mass to, approach this whole end of game surprise, which I really do like a lot. So really you're wondering, hey, why is he not going for more military or so? Because maybe they have 2 blue cards in their hand and are doing just fine. This is also an interesting one. This also relates to your genetic capabilities, to your genetic levels. So this card gives you 2 combat points, or +2, or so 4 in total if you have reached the 1st level, or even 6 if you have reached the 2nd level of this. So this would be really a very nice surprise attack for one of the, let's say, stage 3 conflict cards, where you then at one option or one opportunity gathering 2 points or so. Though this can be really, really huge. What do we have here? Yeah, some more movement on the tracks here. I think these are definitely a lot in this one here. Yeah, basically they are, they have to refer to the new mechanics with these cards in here. Lose 2 of your troops in the conflict. Oh wow, we gain 1 step on Tleilaxu, a gruesome sacrifice, and so highly thematic. And we can basically move these 2 troops then into those axolotl tanks. I think this is how they are being called. Axolotl tanks, exactly. Basically giving you then maybe later on some room to whatever, go for some of these more powerful cards here. But of course we also have some more standard Imperium cards here, which is definitely quite a lot. Obviously these are some of the cards which you shouldn't use without using the extra boards or so, but usually oftentimes you get some extra cards in this, like this one here, for example. This could be a card which you would mix in even if you're not using any of the extension boards, right? So I think overall up to you, but of course I think I'm definitely eager and can't wait to introduce all this awesomeness into the base game and to the first expansion. And before you ask, no, I'm not getting paid for this. No, this is not a review copy. I really bought all the stuff myself because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I'm a huge fan of the board game, but yeah, that's why I'm showcasing it here. And then I think last but not least, let's have a quick look. I always fancy those things. Okay, what are these shield tokens? Family Atomics token. I'm not aware what these are. I would definitely want to check this out. This is the overlay for the research station, and I can't quite remember, what do you typically get? Is this the card? Is this the area where you're getting 3 draws? I think so. Now it's down to 2 draws and 1 research step here. I think this is still very, very powerful, but yeah, again, not a big fan of overlays, but I see why they had to do that. Maybe again at some point in time they're introducing a new board which then includes all the expansions. I'm not sure how many more expansions are still in the pipeline, so maybe we will see way more overlays, and then maybe I would be rather patient rather than really having to buy a new board every other month or so. Maybe before we are moving on to these, what was these tokens here, I already forgot what those are. There's also another mechanic, which is the graft ability, which is something which is also very new, and it says you can't play this card with a craft effect. You see, this is basically a bluish background here, whereas the others are typically, where are we, grayish, beigeish. Also, this is basically a card that you have to play with another card together. I guess there are more powerful effects, and the good thing is you are playing two cards, which also says you can then choose the icon on where you are sending the agent to. So let's maybe have an example here. So let's say you're basically playing both of these cards together to satisfy the graft requirement for this particular card. In this case, you can then decide on from either of those icons on where you are sending your agent to. And I think you can also play two graft cards. So one graft card can support the next graft card, as far as I understood. But then again, what are those family atomics token? Again, I did read through the rules, at least very, very briefly, but for whatever reason, I missed those. So maybe let's have a quick look here in the rules. What do they do? Each player receives atomic during setup. Okay, once per game, you may spend, okay, you are using it once per game, it seems, to returning to the Game Boy, yeah, to remove all cards from the Imperium, then deal a new. Okay, that's pretty massive actually. This is really something which I do enjoy, and it's pretty cool that you can only do that once per game during your turn, and it seems you can even do that in your normal agent turn. You don't have to wait for your reveal turn, so you can really also sabotage someone else. So if you're seeing, hey, there is the perfect synergy card for another player who's already heavily investing into the Bene Gesserit, for example, or into the Fremen, then you can basically wipe the board. But of course you can, I think most cases you may want to do that when it's your reveal turn, just to get a better pick or so. Okay, that's, I think, a very, very nice addition. Then they're also mentioning a variant here, basically around adding or playing this together with the only with the epic game mode from Rise of X. Okay, so only if we're doing the epic game mode, do not replace any of the 10 starting cards with. Okay, that's basically a minor thing. I've never played the epic game mode. I think the game is fine as it is, lengthwise, and also full of richness here, so no, that's totally fine. But definitely it's good that they are taking care of this. And yeah, obviously, last but not least, there are some more instructions on how to use the new House Hagal cards for the solo mode. And I think these are, oh yeah, exactly. Oh, it seems new rules govern how rivals in a solo game interact with elements of Immortality. Note that these rules do not apply to two-player games. I think one thing I almost missed, go to 11. This is something that they're now recommending for basically this stuff to really play one turn longer, and in a 4-player game simply start at 0 points. Or typically in a 4-player game you start at 1. There is no longer really this epic game mode, because again with this go to 11 maybe this is pretty much the best in class between these two things. Yeah, I think it really will take a little bit longer playing it with the second. I think also Rise of X already added some more thinkiness, and I think adding a little bit more length to the base game, but really nothing bad. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. So yeah, does this mean we are not using the extra? No, I think this is only for the setup. I think the new House Hagal cards, these are basically, should be true for both, also for 2-player games. I've never played this game 2-player, honestly, and I think because, again, adding an AI to a 2-player game is something I usually don't enjoy, because very often randomness hits one player more than the other, so that's why I'm usually not using this. So I think this is really, I think, a good solo game, but definitely a perfect 4-player game. It's okay with 3 players too, but if you would ask me, always play it with 4. But yeah, that's basically my unboxing slash walkthrough of Dune Imperium Immortality. Really can't wait to give it a try. Of course, I will definitely play it a multiplayer before even dare to put it for a solo playthrough here on my channel. But let me know if you would be interested in seeing another run through of Dune Imperium with basically both of the expansion. But if you say maybe, yeah, just let's start with Rise of X first with a solo game, and then maybe do another one with Dune Immortality, if there's really enough appetite and interest, I would definitely consider that. And yeah, before I close for today, huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members out there. You guys are really, really amazing. Can't tell you how much I appreciate all your support. If you want to support my little channel here, you can find me on Patreon, you can join me here on YouTube, you can click that little thanks button beneath that video, like and subscribe, leave a comment. This also greatly helps the channel, of course. And yeah, with that being said, really hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.